how to deal when you get dropped by a coach. Now, this is definitely more important when you're in the older age groups. Because when you are 14 years of age and younger, you shouldn't be getting dropped. It should be equal playing time. If that's not the case, then obviously that's something that we would need to discuss a little bit further on how you deal with that and how you would get parents to speak with the coach or the technical director. But normally, once you get to that 14 and 15 years of age and you're in that under 15s, under 16s upwards, most clubs around the world will be given very sort of limited game time and based on your performances and how you're doing as a player. So one of the key things I think is really important with all of this is not to react and not to get angry or emotional. So I always like to put this one on, but try not to get emotional with it because it doesn't resolve or help anyone. Now, the best way to deal with this is dealing with it with a level of maturity. This is definitely what we're looking for. Now, how you can deal with this. You can ask, and I would always advise boys or girls, especially if you're 15 years of age or older, I would always ask to speak with the coach on your own. Now, maybe you let your mum or dad know that this is the situation, but mum, I'm confident in dealing with myself. You do not want mum or dad running in, fighting a battle for you or trying to find out why. Okay? I've seen this happen before and I've actually used this before. Now, in England, when I worked in the Premier League at some of the top academies, parents aren't allowed to just come and speak with coaches willy-nilly. Where in places like the USA, Australia, New Zealand, this is not the case because obviously the level's a lot different and parents have got access to coaches, which I'm always really against. But I would always say throw a level of maturity towards this, and I would look at this in what we call 3 stages. The first stage, always show respect to the coach's decision. And if you follow that, you'll never ever go wrong. Now, what does that mean, show respect? Well, it firstly means don't be getting emotional. Don't be saying things, don't be getting upset in front of the playing group, and leave it alone for at least 48 hours, and that will show a level of respect for the coach's decision. Okay? The second thing is you're willing to improve, because a lot of the time it is actually down to the player yourself why you've been dropped or why you're not getting game time, and you need to make sure that you are focused on development and not complaining. Because too many players and families I've seen in the past get too focused on complaining instead of being focused on development. Now, first thing I want you to remember is getting dropped it happens to all players. There was a time where Lionel Messi got dropped. There's a time where Ronaldo got dropped. There's a time where Pele got dropped, Maradona. All the best players in the world have all been dropped at some point in their careers when they were younger or when they were older. I would always do this. Use it as motivation to train harder, 100%. And this is going to show up. It's going to improve your habits. It's going to show your coach that maybe you deserve to be back in the team. So if the coach drops you, and if he sees that you're training harder and working harder, 9 times out of 10, coaches drop you just to see what your response is. Are you going to go running to mum and dad and get mum and dad to come in the office and ask to speak with the coach? Or are you going to try and deal with it with a level of maturity? Now, I'll give you an example of where we've done this at the Premier League level. We've dropped players in the under-16s who were killing it, who were one of the best players in the 16s. And we were asked by the senior coach of the men's team to do this to this particular player to show if he was ready or not for the first team. So can you imagine when that 15-year-old, 16-year-old Harvey Barnes, who was at Leicester at the time, got dropped from the 16s game? Can you imagine if his response was an emotional response? Do you think he would have got an opportunity at such a young age to play for the first team at Leicester? No. They were testing his maturity level and to see how he responded. How did he respond? He responded with focused on development, and he also focused on training harder, which showed he had a great motivation to try and fix it. Now, one of the big things I would say is that you need to think about, and this goes back to processes versus outcomes. Okay, if we're focusing on processes, we need to focus on what's in your control. Okay, what's in your control is your effort, is your attitude, also your intensity in training, and also another one is your consistency. And the consistency covers a lot of things. Turning up to training early, staying late, asking the coach does he need a hand, putting the equipment away. All those sorts of things as being consistent. Now, to finish off on this one, how to deal with a coach when you get dropped, because this is tonight's topic and the question that we got. Should you go and speak to the coach? So should you speak to the coach? Yes. When? 48 hours or after 48 hours? How should the conversation go? Hi coach, I just wondering if you've got 5 minutes for me, whether it's convenient now or at some point in the next 48 hours. I'd like to just have a chat with you. Then the coach will give you the window of opportunity, or he might ask you what it's regarding, and then you can explain. It's about being dropped at the weekend, and the best way you can set it off is by following number 1, 2, and 3. I've wrote it up here for you. First thing I would be saying is, I completely respect your decision for dropping me, and I'm pretty confident that you've got valid reasons, but I am willing to improve, and I am focused on my development, and I just want to ask you, is there anything I can improve on, or anything I need to work on, or anything you want me to improve on to help me get back in the starting lineup? And by following those 3 rules, you're respecting the coach's decision, but you're showing him or her that you're willing to improve, and you're focused on development, and basically you're willing to go away and work at it in training. Now, 99% of coaches will love your level of maturity. They'll actually respect you for the way you've spoken to them, and they will understand that you want to work towards development as well. Now, most times, 9 times out of 10, the coach will tell you the truth, and they'll tell you why you've been dropped and what it is you've got to improve on. There is the odd occasion where, unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. Coaches don't tell the truth, and they won't speak truth with you, but you'll know and you'll work this out over time. But the thing that you're going to be up against if you're playing for a team that's winning every week and you're currently out the team, it's really, really hard to get that coach to let you back in. But if you know your team's results aren't going great and you're training really well and you're not being given an opportunity, then once you've had this conversation, you can ask what's required of you to try and make it back into the starting lineup and to get maximum minutes. Now, the final trick is this 48 hours. What it's showing is, it's showing that you're not leading by emotion, and we do not want to lead by emotion like up here, okay? The minute we lead with emotion, and how does that show we're leading with emotion? It shows when we go running to the coach, as soon as you see the team line up on the board come up in the changing room, okay? It also shows a lack of maturity, okay, which is just below emotional. And that will show the coach that there's a lot of valid reasons why you probably shouldn't be in the top team. A lot of people think by not showing that you care, by not responding straight away, the coach will think, oh, you're not bothered. No, the coach will know you're bothered because you've took the maturity to wait 48 hours and you've had that constructive conversation with the coach, okay? I would definitely always as well ward against getting mum or dad doing this conversation for you. You need to stand up and have these conversations, because once you get to the age of 18, okay, you need to be able to have these conversations. Now, there's players who've gone on and made professional football at the ages of 16 and 17. So as an example, we've got a young player for Arsenal called Darwin at the weekend who scored the winning goal for Arsenal against Everton. You've got Lamine Yamal who plays for Barcelona. Do you think at 16 and 17, do you think parents are allowed to go in and speak with these coaches who are coaching teams like Arsenal and Barcelona when they're not being played? No, no chance. So you need to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet and go and deal with the coach and ask the reasons why you've been dropped, but go at it with a respect level, show them you're willing to improve and you're focused on development, and their feedback is pivotal to you. And if you get the right feedback, you are on the right track to getting back into that starting lineup.